we had anticipated at the beginning of the pandemic that there would be a mad scramble for companies to want to change the format of their training, say from instructor-led to e-learning. And actually what happened in the early days of the pandemic was crickets. People did nothing because it was a paralysis of sorts where they felt like they just needed to wait and see what was going to happen.
Right.
Well, then, of course, when things got worse and not better, finally, they decided after several months that many of those companies decided that they needed forward progress, whatever that might look like. And so they started to take plans that in some cases were in mothballs that they hadn't pursued and see if there was a solution there that they could put into effect. Like VILT, and there's been a lot of that. As a matter of fact, some of what I'm hearing is that people have found more productivity, more engagement, and more actual learning that's been going on through VILT sessions than other less engaging formats.
And VILT means virtual instructor-led training.
Correct. Now, what people are starting to do now is sprinkle in other things, multimedia, video, and clips of simulation, things like that can make a virtual session more engaging and break up the monotony of a talking head in front of that class.
That was actually going to be my next question. You kind of beat me to it, because I think if you just take regular stand-up training and try to just point a camera at the instructor and stream it, it just doesn't work. I mean, you can do it, but it doesn't have that same impact on the student as training that is designed for virtual delivery. There's a different type of engagement that happens, a different way of engaging people who are sitting behind a monitor by themselves versus sitting in a classroom. And so being able to structure your training so that you're really taking advantage of their time and making sure they're getting the most out of it is really key to being successful, because it looks like we're going to be on this path for a long time.
It does, and it's a discovery process along the way. And I think people were compelled to try just transposing that instructor-led class into a virtual instructor-led class with a talking head until the feedback came back from their audiences that wasn't working for them.
Yeah. Well, and two, it happened so fast. I mean, there wasn't much else we could do right at first, but just give it a shot. So... But now, you're having all of these companies come forward and say, we kind of like this remote thing. Like, we've kind of realized that people can be productive working remotely. And even if we can come back to the office, we might not. Like, companies are selling off their headquarters. You're seeing stuff like that all the time. So that tells me that really the solutions that Timely Text can offer around communications and training and technical writing aren't just for the rest of the pandemic. They're really a new path forward, that things are changing permanently.
Yes, and some of the observations that I take from that is it makes it more nimble, because people have become more relaxed and comfortable with seeing people in different settings, not necessarily an office setting, and even down to the point of watching their kid walk in and sit on their lap while they're talking to you, or
hearing the dog bark.
Yeah, hearing somebody at the door, the doorbell goes on because Amazon has delivered something they needed. Just it's more human and more impromptu. So I think people have come to accept that and embrace it.
Yeah, but I think it still needs to have that structure, especially when you're in a training environment, that all of that can be happening. Those distractions can be happening, and you still have a facilitator there on the other side of the computer who's able to keep you focused and keep you learning so that you can get the information you need to do your job.
Well, certainly there is some accountability that needs to come into that picture. And there has to be some evidence that learning is taking place and not, you know, just smile sheets like used to be the assessments.
Yep, that's what I used to call them.